lemon pepper wings today, and I can't wait to dig in. They're nice and hot, temperature hot, I mean. Wow. Very delicious. So, today's video is about making videos from my own perspective and experiences. So, when I started my channel, I really didn't anticipate all the technical issues that a person would have. And believe me, I've had all kinds. Initially, when I first bought my Yeti mic, I tried making a video just by using my Logitech C920 webcam mic, the webcam and mic combo. Oops, sorry about that. And what happened was, the mic was very tinny. It wasn't conducive to a good sound at all, for ASMR especially. I'll try not to hit the mic again. So I bought myself a Yeti. That in itself turned out to be a challenge, because they're very powerful, very, very sensitive, and they pick up everything. And I kept wondering, how am I going to deal with this? I shut all the doors of my condo. I got some thick black curtains. Close those. I could hear the refrigerator running, so I unplugged the refrigerator. I had to adjust the settings, adjust the levels. Went online looking for, some advice. And people say turn it down in your computer. If you're plugged into a computer, turn it down there a little bit. And then adjust the gain. I kept doing that. These are good wings. So I did that a lot. Might get around with it. My biggest complaint from my viewers, rightfully so, for my first few videos was they couldn't hear me. It was very quiet. And I get that. So finally, I got to get louder, but then of course, the louder, the more gain, etc., the more background noise I'd pick up. So, and I was sitting over my living room over that way when I made my first few videos. So I moved over here, like a nice little corner away from the, the windows and all that. So, that seemed to be better. Just a matter of practice, get it down. A lot of experimentation, adjustments. I still have audio issues. I just had some a few minutes ago, which I'll get to later. A lot of times I make a video, I have to cross my fingers and hold my breath. I remember making a Christmas video, and my Yeti, for some reason, it wasn't plugged in, and I think the, how did that work now? I was getting the, I had my webcam, my C920, with the webcam mic combination, and I used that for a lot of my videos, probably the first 100 and some videos. And so, and it sits, like a few feet away from me, and what happened was my Yeti, for some reason, wasn't plugged in, and so the sound is being picked up by the C920 mic, which is inferior, especially when it's like a few feet away. So, the sound was terrible. It sounded kind of like I was in a tunnel or something, But because it was like a Christmas video and I had to get it out like now because I was going to be busy over Christmas, I just had no choice but to put it out. But that happened again with one of my epic stories, and I had to do the whole thing over again. story like 3 times. You know, it was crazy. You know, all kinds of things can go wrong when you're making a video, not just technical things. But today, this is what I was going to talk about earlier. I was all set to do a Chinese food video. You know, when I make my videos, I've got 10 videos in my head swirling around like a washing machine. I've got all kinds of ideas and things I want to talk about, stories, everything. I write everything down, but I'll go get a couple in my head. I think, should I do this first? I'll get all excited about that. I think, I want to do this one. I get all excited about that. And I go back and forth. So today, well, first of all, I was going to do this video, about videos, all the technical issues. And then I thought, well, maybe I should do my Chinese food video. I start getting all excited about that. At some point, you have to make up your mind. So, I thought, okay, I'll do my Chinese food video. Got my, I have these little cue cards sometimes that I use, I put out in front. The reason for that is to prompt me to talk about this, like lighting, oh yeah, okay, or there is, no upload or something, so it prompts me to talk about that, otherwise I'll forget, I'll think, oh, why didn't I talk about that? So I was all set to do my Chinese food video, and it's going to be a good one too. It's a little place where I pick up my Chinese food. It's a grocery store, and they have really good Chinese food. It's really good. And some of the grocery stores around here, they have Chinese food packaged up in their cooler aisle. Take it home, you heat it up, Now normally this store has leftovers, but they didn't today, so I went there at about 11 o'clock thinking they'd be ready to serve it up. And they said it won't be out about 11:30. I thought, wow, 11:30 might mean 11:45 or noon. These are really good wings, by the way. So I couldn't take a chance. So I grabbed these wings, decided I'll scrap the Chinese food video for now. But do it when it works out, when I get my Chinese food nice and early. I'm gonna do it, don't worry about it. It's gonna be a good one. So, at the last minute, I make a change. So I come home, got my wings, write out brand new cue cards for this video. Set my cameras up, my lighting and everything. I go to turn, and I'm using my phone today. I go to turn my phone on, and I've had this issue before where I can't hear the Yeti through the phone. Now I know a few times that happened, and I ended up switching to my Logitech mic at the last minute. Well, as it turned out, it was working. I just couldn't hear through the monitor. But if I did a test recording, which I always do, and played it back, then I could hear it. What I do is I actually scratch on the mic. Because if I just, come back here and say, hi there, testing 1, 2, 3, it might be being picked up by the phone mic or the Logitech mic or whatever. And I'll just think that it's working. So I actually, I'll tap this mic and I'll scratch it and, and make sure that, it's coming through loud and clear. So I tried that today. And it wasn't working. Like I said, before I couldn't hear through my monitor, but actually was recording. So when I made my test recording and I played it back, I could hear it. But today it wouldn't even come through on my test recordings. And what was so frustrating was before I went to the store, it was working fine. So, I'm very frustrated. So I decided I'm going to restart my phone. Restart my phone, that solved it. this is for nothing. So there's, you know, I've had issues. I think one of the biggest issues I had a long time ago was my old computer. I've had a new one now for about 10 months. My old computer. It would, the video would freeze up. And I wasn't sure if it was freezing up during the recording or during the upload, but obviously it was during the recording. Because my old computer couldn't handle the app I was using, which is Logitech Capture, which I was using for my mic and my camera. So my videos start to freeze, get all jittery, like, you know, the old animation, like old King Kong, you know, that jittery, and that's freeze all together. Very frustrating. You think you got a great video, then you realize that, you know, you got those issues. So I had to start watching my videos all the way through. I did a logging video recently. It was 1 hour and 20 minutes, the longest video I've made. It's still my longest video, but I had to cut about 5 minutes out of it. It's called logging in the 70s because it was just freezing up. So very frustrating. And then, you know, it's one thing to have to sit through the recording and wait to see if there's any issues. You know, you got to listen to it, you know. So what I do is a lot of times I put the headphones on, listen to it, and I'll just do something else, you know, multitask. But what was really aggravating was I made a video a long time ago about my first apartment after I got divorced. I recently made a video about my first apartment, but that was my first apartment as a young man, my first ever apartment that I had all by myself. But this video I made several months ago was about when my ex and I separated. I had to get my own place, and that was weird. To be in your early 50s and living on your own in a one-bedroom apartment that you're renting. It was the first time I was on my own in like 28 years. So anyway, it was a good video. And I listened to a good chunk at the beginning, you know, the end, a little bit in the middle, everything seemed to be fine. One of my viewers said right away, you know, you got some issues there. And I checked, and sure enough, pretty much in the middle of the video, it was freezing up. And the viewer was kind of upset because he said, you get right to the good part. I can't blame this person for being upset. So was I. Now I have to say, you people have been beyond impatient, or beyond patient with me. You've been very patient, and I appreciate that. Very supportive. You wouldn't believe how many glitches you can have while trying to make a video. I think what I'll do is eventually I'll try and fix that video. YouTube has an editing program, it's very basic. And you can edit things out now. I edited a beginning one time last fall using that. It worked fine. Tried to edit something in the middle, I struggled with it. Couldn't quite figure it out, I'm not sure why. But I still want to fix that video. Of course, if you edit too much out, it becomes kind of disjointed. But when I first started making videos, I didn't have any kind of editing. I did use the YouTube editor a little bit for beginnings and endings, but I mean, it takes a long time to upload a video. With YouTube, it can be very slow. when you did the editing, that was just one more process that, you know, slowed everything up. I remember I made a video when I changed my name from Junior Road to Oral Fixated. I turned down the sound in on my computer. I had to turn it down from 100 to 90. I turned down to 50. Didn't realize it. And the video was way too quiet. I re-released that video a few months later with an explanation at the beginning. And by then I was using CapCut editing, and I was able to crank it up, the volume I mean. When I first started, I had no editing at all. None. No editing software except for a little bit in YouTube. When I got CapCut, I was pretty much self-taught using that. That's a real game changer. I said before I set my webcam up, and I would pull my computer sits on a desk, I would pull everything over here so I could see my monitor. And then I would record that way, and I had no way of editing, so I'd have my mouse down here, and I would click start. And then when the video was finished, I would click stop, but I always have to look over there. So a lot of times my old videos, you can see me looking over there and press. I would have my mouse underneath here where you couldn't see it. Real sleight of hand. But editing software makes all the difference. Lighting is another issue. The C920, the Logitech camera, Logitech's C920 webcam is a good camera, probably a top seller, but it works best in a lot of light. It doesn't have very good low light sensor, so if it starts like in this type of lighting here, it doesn't work very well. It's kind of fuzzy, and it's only good for about the first 3 feet. After that, it's very fuzzy and out of focus. So that in itself was a real learning process. I didn't realize that beyond 3 feet or so, it was out of focus. I could never figure that out. I thought it was a lack of light, so I kept making things brighter, and you know. A lot of times when you see somebody doing ASMR, they got their table raised up real high. Well, actually, this is raised up. The reason for that is so you can get the camera in fairly tight, which will be nice and close. You know, good focus. I also used to use the autofocus to be going in and out like this, you know, and that was kind of frustrating too. Very irritating. Like I said, once I got my CapCut editing app, things really changed. And my Logitech Capture app as well. Because I used to just plug my camera straight in the computer. Now, it runs through the Logitech Capture app, which gives me way more control. So I have to make sure I turn everything off. I try to control the environment as much as possible. You can still hear cars out there. But I shut my phone off, unplug the fridge. I've had my phone ring. And now I'm using my phone right now to record. I have to turn the volume down in case it does ring. I've been sitting here. Sometimes when I was using my webcam, I put my phone in my bedroom. And I could hear text messages coming in and stuff, you know. You can hear that in some of my videos. Oops, sorry. text messages in some of my videos. Try to control the sound. Certain things you can't control. One time they were testing the alarm system here, and the fire alarm started going off. A lot of times you hear a motorcycle go by, helicopter, ambulance. You know, one time, last fall, this has happened more than once. I was going to do a video, I think I was doing a chicken video, where I was eating chicken and talking about something. It was in the fall, remember that? Get everything all set up so you just heard a horn honk, right? So I got all set up. Lighting, sound, everything all ready to go. Go grab my chicken, come back. All set to make my video, and I was sitting here, this noise outside sounded like a lawnmower. I look out. Some guys out there using a leaf blower. And there was leaves everywhere. Like I said, it was like around October, November. And he's just, you know, going crazy blowing leaves. And then on top of that, it was like a work crew, you know, like a contractor that somebody had hired from one of the condos across the street. And then they started cutting the lawn, I guess like the last cut of the year or something. So they did that for about, I don't know, about 45 minutes. I had to reheat everything because it was getting cold on me, right? Stuff like that happens. It's very unforeseen. And I've had situations where I'll be doing something. And the same thing, though, somebody will be out there cutting the lawn, you know, because I record my videos in a condo. And they have a contractor that comes in and cuts the lawn. So then I had to stop my video, wait till they were finished, you know, 20 minutes later, and then resume, you know. It'd be nice to have a soundproof room. That'd be awesome. No more recently. I had some problems with static electricity. You hear this staticky noise. And that started a few months ago. I decided to record a video. I have a hallway over here. And I just wanted to change the scenery to try a few different things, you know, eating an apple and doing some hand stuff, you know, and that sort of thing. I started getting the static. Then I made some videos where the mic was sitting in front of me. Had that nice spatial sound, but you could hear that static a lot. It was very frustrating. On a dry treats video I did. And it was very, very irritating. And I could not find the cause. I thought it was my headphone jack at first because I had this headphone cord that was kind of sketchy. You know, you don't do that to sort of move around before it works. So I got a new cord. Still didn't solve it. I got new everything, every cord. I replaced every cord. And as it turned out, I kept thinking, what's different? What have I done different? You know, did some guy move in next door with a ham radio or something that's causing these weird, you know, this weird static electricity or something? What's going on here? Because I have somebody upstairs now downstairs, that way, and across the hall, you know. So, I kept thinking, what's different? Took me a long time. I mean, I made a cookie video. Same thing, you had the static in there. And when the mic, the cord runs down the boom stand, it seems to be shielded the minute I take it out of there. And if I, you know, take it out the boom stand, set it on the table, or do something different, or if I take the wire out and have it stretched out somewhere, it seems to make that noise. Because it's not being shielded as much, I guess, because that seems to be the thing that was different. And ever since I put it back in here, and I have the wire running long down in there, that totally solved the issue. Now, speaking of tri-treats, I did a tri-treats video last. It was the second one I did. Last June, I think. And I had an overhead camera. I had a camera in front of me. The camera in front of me was my Logitech C920. Got everything all set up. And I started, you know, doing my spiel, and I stopped for some reason. Now, normally I would just stop and go, okay, take two. Then I would do it again. You know, that's very common for me. I have a few false starts, very common. Of course, you don't see it because I edited it out. Or I'll go take three, you know, take four, you know, just kidding. And that'll happen, you know, more often than you'd realize. For whatever reason, or maybe I've said something wrong, or I screwed up somebody's shout out, or whatever. So in this case, normally I would just keep going, but I thought I'm going to get up and shut that off and start it again because I didn't want a bunch of false starts. So I got distracted, and in the meantime, I forgot to push the record button. So I came back here, I did the whole tri-treats video, and it wasn't recording. But fortunately, what saved my life, I have my overhead camera, and that recorded most of it. It eventually shut off after a while. But it recorded enough that I was able to do the intro with the box closed. You can see it. I just redid the intro, redid the outro, and the rest in between was the overhead for the most part. The sound was a bit out of sync. A few people commented on that, but they didn't realize the technical issues that I had undergone, and the way that I managed to fix it was miraculous. You know, it wasn't perfect, but I salvaged the video. I'd have felt very bad telling tri-treats that I screwed up your video. You better send me another box. I'm not sure if they would have or not. But they must like me because that was my second video and I just finished my seventh. Easy Kitchen. When I started making my kitchen videos, I was using my Logitech mic. Like I said, the first 3 feet, very sharp, very crisp, but you know, beyond that, it's out of focus. And with Mark's Easy Kitchen, you know, I'm moving back and forth. And back in those days, my format was to do everything kind of live. I would just, you know, cook the whole thing right there. talk and whatever. Now I shoot all the footage, and I do a voiceover. You know, I shoot all footage. I have my intro, my outro, and my what I call my helpful hints. And so that's the way I do it now, which is much more practical and it works much better. But back then, I was doing everything live. Not live streaming, but I mean, just, you know, kind of right off the floor, everything all at once. And I was making carbonara. What a disaster. I was making my own version, a version I got from a restaurant, where you add more than, instead of using pancetta or guanciale, they were using smoked bacon, which to some people might be a no-no. And they added mushrooms and spinach, so I was kind of following their recipe. But next thing you know, something was burning on the stove. Next thing I know, I got smoke and all that, so I got to turn the fan on and clear everything. And I forgot that I forgot to put a plate to put my stuff on, so I opened the door to get a plate. I forgot that I had an overhead camera sitting above the cupboard, being weighted down with a big, you know, chunk of metal to weight it down. And the camera was on one of those selfie sticks and pointing down. I opened the cupboard, of course, I hit the camera falls down. I managed to catch it midair, you know. It was just a disaster. Oh my gosh, it's an absolute train wreck, it really was. I did that video 6 times. I'd never eaten so much carbonara in my life. Had to flush a lot of it down the stool as well. I think what's important is to find a format that works. Stick to it. And then you can work with it. And I finally found a format with my Mark's Easy Kitchen, like I said. You know, recording all the footage, the cooking footage first. You know, first thing I do is I take still shots of all my ingredients. I do all the still shots. I use usually at least 2 cameras, sometimes 3. Then I'll record my intro, my outro, and my helpful hints. But I record the outro first before the intro. That's because the food has just been cooked. It's come out of the oven or off the stove. So I want to eat it while it's there and while it's hot. So it makes sense to do the outro first and the intro second. On several occasions, I've recorded videos at the house. I've recorded all the cooking in the house, like my meatloaf was recorded there. You know, taco pie, lemon prawn pasta, a few things I recorded at the house. And used that footage, but then I did the intro and the outro and everything else here. And I would just put the leftovers on a plate, bring it over here the next day, and heat it up. I have to tell you about my meatloaf video. I cooked the meatloaf video at the house in a cornware casserole dish type thing. And then I had most of it for dinner that night. And I said, I just need to save some for my channel. So the next day, I come over and I'm recording the outro. And I start recording, and I kept flubbing it because I'd say, okay, well, the meatloaf is ready. I think it's ready to sample, so I'd start eating a little bit. Well, I screwed up so many times that by the time, you know, next thing I knew, there's no meatloaf left. I'd eaten it all because I kept screwing up all the takes. So the next day, I went down to the grocery store and I bought some meatloaf. Brought it home. And I remember I got here a bit late. It was getting kind of late in the day, and the minute I unwrapped it, I could smell there was something wrong with it. I was like, oh man, I can't. If I eat this, I'll get food poisoning. So I was not a happy camper. So I took it back to the store the next day, and I explained my situation. They were very apologetic. You know, they gave me a brand new one that they just made, and so I took it home. Now the meatloaf I made was in a casserole dish. I had like these little sort of squares, like a little cake of it. was like a loaf in a loaf pan, so you had to slice it. So I had to cut it out to make it look like the one I just made. And theirs didn't have as much ketchup on top, so I had to put more ketchup on it. I can tell you people are disappointed, I know. But I've had to do that more than once. And a lot of times when I'm making those videos, when I get to the end, when I'm doing my outro, I'll say, okay, you know, the dessert is now out of the oven, it's ready for sampling, so I got myself a knife, and I'm going to cut a slice, you know, or something like that. And I have another camera set up, so when I turn the slice some off, or dig some out, or whatever, it shows me doing that. So I just have to sync all that up. But there's been times that I've screwed up so many times that there's hardly anything left, you know. So I've had to use the initial footage where the camera showed the close-up, and then just when I turn around, when I'm doing my outro, I say, okay, now I'm going to sample it. I have to switch to where, you know, it shows me the close-up, right? And it's a bit of trickery, but it works, you know. I mean, what else can you do? I remember one time, I'd never make it as an actor. When I'm sitting here talking like this, I could sort of fumble along, it's not a big deal. But my cooking videos, I have to try to appear very professional. I can't slur any speech, I can't mispronounce anything, I can't go So, I remember I was doing my helpful hints, and I kept screwing it up. And I'm not kidding you, you're not going to believe this, this is the God's honest truth. I did my helpful hints segment 70 times. Not 17, 70, 70 times. And I ended up not using it because it suddenly dawned on me, this is redundant. I don't need to do this. This is stupid. You know, like it's a waste of time. So I scrapped it after spending all afternoon doing take after take after take. Another time I was doing my kitchen video, and I was struggling to do the outro, or was it, maybe it was the intro, maybe by then I was doing the intro, but either way, I was saying, okay, Mark, you know, I'm Chef Mark's Easy Kitchen, today I'm making whatever, and I kept screwing it up. And I thought, damn. So I take a deep breath, relax, come back, try it again. Finally, after about 10 or 12 times, I nailed it. Perfect. Absolutely nailed it. I went over to grab my camera because I wanted to have a look at it, and I suddenly realized my microphone wasn't plugged in. And it was perfect. Absolutely nailed it. So eventually I got it, did it again. I've had to edit certain segments together quite a few times. Like, I did a segment where I had about 3 or 4 takes. The last few sentences were terrible, but the first few sentences were great. The other video was the opposite, so I just took the first few sentences for the one video and edited on the last couple sentences from the other video, and it made it really good. You know, it made it a good video. So I'm just gonna move that over. I keep banging my head on that. So you know, there's a lot of editing sometimes. Sometimes not so much. But and I'll say one thing about my cooking videos: the editing is the fun part. It really is. It's like you're building something, you're weaving something. You know, it's a lot of fun. Another thing I did, I made a dessert one time. Peanut butter marshmallow square. No bake. Basically stick in the fridge for 2 hours, let it chill. our marshmallow square has been in the oven now for 2 hours. I think it's ready for sampling. Well, I said oven, not fridge. I was supposed to say it's been in the fridge for 2 hours. I said oven, and I didn't realize that. I didn't realize it. I started uploading all this footage onto my computer so I could start editing. That's when I realized that said oven instead of fridge. And by then I'd kind of, taken down my lighting. I had to readjust my camera and try and set everything up the same. And what a nightmare! All because of one word: oven instead of fridge. But at least I noticed it. Another time I misspelled spaghetti on my text. I forgot to put the H in there or something. I had to redo all that over again too. Very frustrating. You can really taste the lemon and the pepper in here. It's very good. But, stuff like that happens. But I love making these videos. Another thing I accidentally did was I had the wrong setting of my camera. I did a lasagna cookie video. And I had instead of 60 by 9, I think I had like a panoramic thing, so it was kind of squished like that. Yeah. I just kind of went with it. You wouldn't believe how many times I've shot, or, redone something right from scratch. The whole thing. My first ASMR epic story about moving from Saskatoon to Vancouver Island. You might recall my friend Marcel. He stole a pair of shoes. It was all kinds of stuff. I did that video 3 times because I wasn't happy with it. The version that you will hear is the best one. But making videos is a real passion. But for anybody that thinks they're gonna make videos on heavy technical issues, you're in for a rude awakening. You wouldn't believe the stuff that goes wrong. Now maybe you don't have those issues. I certainly do. I found lighting to be a real challenge. I've just kind of gotten the hang of the lighting a little bit now. With Mark's Easy Kitchen, it's still a challenge because when I have too many lights, there's a lot of glare off my face, a lot of glare off the cupboards, or there's bad shadows. I had an overhead camera when I was making rice pudding on the stove. And there's so much light, you couldn't even see the rice pudding. It was just too much glare, You don't realize that until after you've done it. Lighting is it's a real art. I like watching these old black and white movies from the 40s. Humphrey Bogart. Have you ever noticed the lighting in those movies is really amazing? my friends, making these videos. Like I said, you've heard all the challenges I faced, and I'll still have to overcome many of them at some point. Even when I get a new camera, I'll have to learn how to use it and blah, blah, blah. But you people have been so patient and so helpful. I just can't thank you enough. You know, it's because of you guys. You know, you're so good to me. Like I said, your patience and your tolerance for my screw ups has just been absolutely amazing. If it wasn't that, I'd probably quit a long time ago. And I thank you for that. I really appreciate it. You know, that's what's kept me going. You know, if I ask a question, I put a question out, people respond. Or they'll give me ideas, you know. Maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. And I try and, I try to consider everyone's advice. Sometimes it doesn't work for me or for my content or my video or my situation. Many times it does. And I like to experiment a bit, because that's how you grow, right? You notice my sets have been changing a bit. I'll try not to hit the mic anymore. My sets have been changing. I said before that I'm going to go back to the having the grandfather clock in the background. I'll make a few videos like that. Then I'll probably come back to this again. Switch it up a bit. Now, many people have asked me why I don't record videos at the house. Perfect example is right now today, Linda has 2 of her grandkids there. Normally you just have the youngest who's 3, but the older one who's 6 is, she didn't go to school because she's sick. She's not feeling good. And it just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't. And Marcy the dog, she barks a lot. You know, considering it's a rural neighborhood, it can be quite noisy out there. I did make a video last January, I think it was. It was called Fireplace. Chad was in front of the fireplace, and that was even a little bit out of focus because it was a whole different environment. I was trying to set my camera up, and the lighting was weird. But even that, you know, that was new. I'd like to do more like that. I'm kind of hoping I'll be able to do some down the road, but have to be when there's, you know, when Linda's kids aren't there, or grandkids, I mean, and they're there a lot. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that's the way it is. And it's like I said before, here I'm completely set up. You know, I got everything all set up. Everything's right here. Any gadgetry I need, any cable or cord or everything is right here. You know, when I take stuff over there, when I did that one video called Fireplace Chat, I was almost there. It's about a 20-minute drive. I was almost there, and I forgot a little adapter. I turn around, come back and get it. So, you know, and plus it's just like, you know, I got how many tripods? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got like I think 8 tripods. You know, I got all my lighting and everything here. You know, so that's why I do it here, and I can control the sound environment to a degree. This building is undergoing remediation starting. Well, they said maybe in 6 months. That would take us into October, November. I can't see that. I'm thinking it'll be next year, early next year, I hope. It's going to probably get kind of noisy around here, so I'll probably have to start recording my videos at 3 in the morning. No, just kidding. Probably after dinner, you know, because the whole place will be scaffolded and enveloped, and it's going to be a beauty of a building because it's about 40 years old. There's a lot of work to be done on the outside, so it's going to get noisy, so I'll have to change how I record my videos, when I record my videos, and maybe where I record my videos. And that could take several months. But anyways, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. In the meantime, my friends, I promised you a Chinese video, and I will deliver. It'll be very soon. I want to thank you once again for all your support and all your patience and putting up with my little technical issues. You're just wonderful, all of you. I love you all. So you want a shout out, hit me up. You know, just you know, whatever you want. So keep those comments coming. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. Stay amazing out there in the big, wonderful land of awesome. And we'll see you next time. Okay. Bye now.